Welcome, my dear students. Today, the first class, our first class in the supply chain management and logistics, of course, because always they are inseparable. When you talk about the supply chain management, we are talking in the same time about the logistics science. It's one of the sciences of the management, as you know. And the management, the fundamentals of the management, we talk about in the previous video, which I told you, this is the introduction, that it's the main basic functions of the management, which are planning, organizing, leading, and controlling, and the same for functions. So we have planning also in the supply chain, we have organizing in the supply chain, we have leading, and we have controlling on the supply chain management. Anyhow, this science is not a new science in the world. It's a very old one. But the names are changing, like things like some kinds like whatever, in other things like the food or whatever. We use update names, but for the same science. And the updated thing in this science is using the mathematical approach in solving the problems and simulation by the computers. Anyhow, any flow of goods and services from a point to another point, any flow, again, any flow of goods and services, goods or services, particularly goods. Why? It is the science that concern about the movement of goods and services from the producer to the end user or the consumer, including warehousing, including shipping, including using trucks, including transportation. All this comes into this science. So why don't we go far? Let us go to our own classes and see the start of it. This is the main source which we will work from. Let me share the screen. Okay. Here the screen is shared now. Okay, and I will keep these videos also recorded, and I will keep it alive for you on Google Classes. So you can go to it whenever you want, just for kind of review or for checking for new points. Usually we stop and take some questions for ourselves. The assignments are written in the syllabus. They will be in home assignments. You will do it at home. It will be very easy. You don't have to worry about what you missed before in those 2 weeks, because I'm now reviewing on those 2 weeks. And even in the live lectures, I will review back for the 2 weeks. Anyhow, here we start the introduction or Introduction to Operation and Supply Management. This is the book, the 5th edition. The objectives of this studies is why the critical organization survives, because without the supply chain, we won't survive, because we depend on the movement of the goods from the consumer, from the producer into the consumer. So it's a very vital that the goods and services reach to the consumer at the end point or at our distance point. So it is the survival, because why we are there? Why we are there? We are there to make profits, to sell. So logistics and supply chain management are there for solving these problems. Describe what a supply chain is and how it relates to particular organizations' operations functions. Is it related to the other functions of the management? Yes. Other branches like production, division, department? Yes, it's related to it. Is it related to marketing department? Yes, it's related. It is actually even to the human resource management department. It's also related to all the system that's working in any organization. Supply chain management is a part, which is a horizontal. When you see the hierarchy or the organizational structure of any company or organization, supply chain management is one of them, or logistics is one of them. And I'm saying for the moment, supply or logistics, but later on I will know which one is broader meaning than the other. But they serve in the same stream. Discuss what is meant by operation management. Yes, and supply chain management. The production. The production is the start point of the supply chain. Supply chain takes when the production is ended. Identify some of the major operations and supply chain activities as well as career opportunities in these areas. Make a case of study, both operation management and supply chain management. See, that's what we're talking about. Let's go to this. Why study? Why we are studying operations and supply chain? Why do we study it? Every organization must make a product or provide a services. See, the product and services, product and services. So someone will ask me, what are the differences between the product and services? Okay, product is touchable. You can touch it. You can hold it with your hand. But services is untouchable, which we call intangible. So one is tangible. You can touch it, the product, but the service, what I'm doing now is a service. Can you touch it? No, you cannot touch it. So this is the first thing. The second difference between the product and services, the product, you can store it. You can put it in warehouse, like in the logistic system. But I cannot put what I am doing now in the fridge and take it after 2 weeks or 2 months and give it to another students. So product may be stored, but the services will never be stored. Services will never be stored. Third thing, product is not related to its provider. As example, you want to go to and buy a glass like this. You won't care about who's selling the glass as long as you want the glass. But I like Osama because Osama is good in blah, 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 blah. But I don't like Osama because, so if your kid, baby is sick, you will ask for the name of the doctor who's applying the services first before you go to him. If he has a good reputation, then you will go and you will let him. You won't feel worried. You will feel safe when your kid is in between his hands just for treatment or something. So services are related to the provider, but products are not related to the provider. The provider, you can buy a packet of cigarettes whatever you want. You can buy anything you need, any kind of stuff you need for food or whatever. You will buy a bottle of Pepsi or a bottle of 7-Up from anywhere you want to buy it. But the services, no, the services look for it. So those are the three differences between the goods and services. Most organization functions as part larger supply chain, yes. And the supply chain is inclusive. That's what we want to say. Organization must be carefully manage their operations and supply chain in order to prosper and indeed survive. If you didn't do any part of the job right, what are you expecting? A failure in this case. So here, what is it? Why to study the operation and supply chain management? The operation management, the planning, scheduling, and control of activities. Look, again, that's why I did the last video, the part 1. I told you, because it's a management. So it will be including planning, scheduling, it's a part of the planning, and control of that transform. What is the meaning of transform? It means move from one place to another place. Inputs. What are the inputs? The inputs are the raw materials. And the non-finished goods. Those we call it inputs. Of finished goods into finished goods and services. Look, always when we talk about goods and services. We don't talk about goods only, but we have to talk about goods and services. That's fine. Now see this, the inputs. Inputs are always the raw materials of any work. It is called inputs. It's the raw materials. The raw materials means things that you didn't use. Okay, the wood in the jungle is input. It is raw material. But when you make it furniture, when you make it desk, table, bed, this is called output. So the inputs are the raw materials of everything. while the outputs are the finished product, Okay. Okay, those are the inputs here: materials, intangible needs, information, whatever. And we will make a transformation process. Okay, here you have the wheat and the inputs here. In this side, you have the wheat, you have the salt, you have the baking. Okay, you have to make a process transformation, which is the stove. You put all this in the stove after you bake it, so that the output will be the bread, right? It's the same thing, the same idea. Every system in the world consists of inputs, then a transformation process, then there is outputs as well. Okay. So this is outputs will be finished goods or semi-finished goods. Okay. What is the reason for it? To satisfy the customer needs, like you see here. What the meaning of satisfy? Satisfy means his wants and needs. As example, I don't want the wood in the jungle. I don't get any benefit from it, but I want a desk or a chair made of wood or a bed made of wood. So this will satisfy my needs, and this is the meaning. So again, inputs, then we have the transformation process, and this all goes to outputs. Great. Still we are trying to find out why we are studying operation and supply chain management. What the reason for this? The active management of supply chain activities and the relationships in order to maximize customers' value, like I told you, and achieve sustainable competitive advantage. Competitive advantage. It means that you are not working alone in the market. Like you saw me when I was teaching economy, I told you guys all of this. I told you, you are not alone here. There are a lot of competitors around you. So you are not selling alone. So there are a lot of people. If you don't care about every part of your work from phase one to the end, then there will be a disadvantage. And this will be a drawback for you. And it will be a kind of strength point for your competitor. Okay, supply chain. A network, this is now the supply chain. This is the identification of the supply chain. What is it? It's a network of a manufacturer and service provider that work together to create products or services needed by end user. These manufacturer and services provider are linked together through physical flow. That's what I said in the start itself. I said it's the flow of goods and services from the producer till the end user or the consumer. It's only goods? We said no, goods and services. So when we see the word information, that means about the services, flow and monetary flow. And also the monetary, the money units. Okay. Supplies chain terminology. Upstream, activities of firms positions later in the supply chain. This is the downstream. Positioned later, okay? First tier supplier, a supplier that provides products or services directly to a firm. We need to know each one of those. Second tier supplier, a supplier that provides products or services to a firm's first tier supplier. Oh, so the second one will give to the first one. Here we go. You can understand the whole system of supply chain here. Simplified view. This is a simplified view. You can imagine one like this. Second tier supplier gives to the first, from here to the first tier supplier, Ball Corporation, and this is the upstream. And here, the distributor to the retailer to the final consumer. In very simple way, I will tell you like this. From the producer, look with me, from the producer to the wholesaler, and from wholesaler to the retailer, and from the retailer to the consumer. So started by where it is manufactured or where it is produced, and ended where the consumer is there, the end user. Okay, so this is simply how it will work. Supply chain, supply operation references model, planning activities which seeks a balance. What is this? Why we study, still we are in, uh, we're talking about the planning activities which seeks a balanced demand requirement against resources and communicate these plans to various participants. Sourcing activities. This is also one of the other kinds of activities, which include identifying, developing, and contracting with suppliers, and scheduling the delivery of incoming goods and services. We have also the make or production activities, which cover the actual products of goods and services. Make, like manufacturing. Delivery activities, which includes everything from entering customers' orders, see, anything that goes in the flow of the goods and services from the producer to the end consumer. It goes here in this point. Okay, to the final, like I told you here, to the final destination. Let's go to the next page. Why we're studying still? Return activities, which includes the activities necessary to return and process defective, okay, or excess products or materials. Things that is a waste, like the recycling, all these things, or some materials you have to reproduce it back, or things with defaults. All this we call it return activities. Okay? Like you see, like I showed you in the first video, which was the introduction, the name is introduction. Like you see here, it's the supply chain operation references. It's here, like, it's including planning and organizing and leading and control. Supply chain operation references, this is the way, how it works. Okay? Plan. And by the way, you see here, we focus always on the plan. Why did he focus on the plan and he didn't talk too much about organize or leading or controlling? You guys are studying business, most of you, so you must know why. Because the plan is the basic activity for all other activities. It's the main activity. Because if you plan right, everything then will be right. If you plan wrong, then all what's organizing will be wrong, leading will be wrong, controlling will be wrong. Plan is the basic. It's like the ground, the concrete of the ground floor. It's carrying up all of them, carrying organizing, carrying leading, carrying controlling. Without planning, nothing. Don't expect anything to be working. What is the agility? The ability to recalculate plans in the face of market. Recalculate. Why? It's a kind of scenario we are doing for the markets, because market is always volatility and it's fluctuated. It's moving ups and downs. It have, like you saw in the economic, when we talk about the economic cycle, recession and deflation, which is deflation, and the peak, when we go to the peak, and we pass by 4 stages. This is the way the market is. You see nowadays in the COVID days, do you think that the trade activities is like it was before? No. All is going down. The trade is going down. The business activities are going down. So the trends means the changes in the market nature. Okay. Do I have to put my hands like this or put my hands on my cheek and just put one plan, a market plan or whatever, and just wait? No. I have to do something is called what if analysis. What the meaning of what if analysis? The what if analysis depends on the idea that you change your plan based on any change that happen in the market, and you have to expect it. So you have a plan A, you have plan B, you have plan C, You have plan D. In case of this, you will use this plan. We call it scenarios for a plan. Same thing. And like I told you here, the vitality and deliver of the same comparable cost, quality, and customer services. So this is all. Information technology. Now the whole what? Like we said, any system is working within other systems. Like any system, all the systems are called open systems. The word open system means that is affected by the external environment. What is the external environment? The external environment is including the economical variables, the legislative variables, the political variables, the cultural variables as well. All these are variables that's affecting the system. And you are working in an open system. And the word open system means that you are up to any new coming to you. Nowadays, there are upgrading every day in the technology. Look at the cell phone in your hand and remember the cell phone which you were using in 1999 or the start of 2000. Is it the same? No, no. It's different and the functions are different. And so electronic commerce, also electronic commerce, which is e-commerce, that like you now, like the Amazon.ca or whatever, or the Amazon which you are using, or any other sites like for the Chinese people, they're using Alibaba, and there are a lot of sites now very famous for electronic e-commerce, electronic commerce. So this also a new trend. Okay, what is the use of the electronic commerce? How it help or how it, so far it does not help? Electronic commerce will change in the shape of the logistics system. Like the Amazon now, you buy everything while you are sitting at home and it comes to you at home. That will require a specific kind of supply chain management system or a specific kind of entire logistics system. Okay. Important trends. People, we're talking about the people. Currently shortage talented operation and supply chain professionals. He won't say that people who are working in this field, some of them have drawbacks. Not all of them, but some. Poor relationship with any link of the supply chain can have disastrous consequences for all other supply. That's true. Like I told you before, it's like a chain. We said a chain. If one of these chain points is bad, then everything consequently will go in a wrong way. Operation supply management and you. Potential career path in operation supply management. We want to tell you that it's a promising industry and it's opening careers from all over the places and from all over the world, and people can work in it. Like analysts, production manager, service manager, sourcing manager, commodity managers, all those are working in this chain, are working within the chain of the supply chain. Okay, let me stop and ask you a question. If I tell you, is it the supply chain, is it a promising industry or no? Is it a booming industry? Yes or no? Yes, it's a booming industry. If I tell you, correct for me, please, correct this. Any problem in one part of the chain of the supply chain, will not affect the other parts, will not affect the other parts. Is it true or false? It's false. Yes, it's false. Because planning is not the major function in the supply chain. Planning is not the major function for the supply chain. No, wrong. Planning is the main function of the supply chain because everything is based on planning. If I tell you, there are no needs to make a scenarios for the market because the market is always stable. So what do you think about this question? No, market is not stable. Market is always changing. For that reason, we have to put many, or we call it what if analysis, means the change in the markets will lead to what? We have to change based on changing in the market circumstances. Okay, guys. Okay, dokie. Let us go to the other next page. Professional organizations. APEX, the associations of operation management. That's fine. ISM, you have to know this initials, what's the meaning of it. The Institute of Supply Management. CSCMP, the Council of Supply Chain Management Professions. The only thing I want to tell you, is it an old job? The supply chain management, is it an old or a new job? No, it is not a new job. It's an old one. But the names are changing. Like the word logistic, when you search for the logistics, it was only for the first time used in the World War II. Why? Because it's the logistics means the catering which goes beyond the army. The food, the fuel, like the energy sources, like the oils and this and that, and the medication and the stuff of the medications, like the doctors, nurses, all those will go as logistics behind the army. That's why when you hear about the World War II, how the wars was destructive, they used to strike the infrastructures like the bridges or the roads. Why? Because they will disconnect by this way the supply chain, because it's like a chain. They will cut it by breaking a bridge, destroying a bridge, then the food and the oil and the power and everything will not come, will not follow the army. The army, that's what happened in Russia as well. Okay. Ask. So ASQ, the American Society of Quality. Now, Operation Supply Chain Management and you. Major operations and supply management activities: process selection, forecasting, capacity planning, inventory management. Those all, look at this, look at this, look at this. Any function that helps in the flow of goods and services from the producer into the consumer, like I told you before. Any of them. Process selection, forecasting, it's a planning. The forecasting is a planning. When you see, just Google it, it's a planning. Capacity planning, this is another thing, because I have to know everything about the market. I have to know everything about my own chain, supply chain. Inventory management, the warehousing, how to store your goods, your raw materials, everything. How to keep them clean and safe and without any deterioration. Planning and control, purchasing and logistics. Okay, supply chain, including logistics. Remember, supply chain and logistics. I want you just take a note from this now. Employability skills, critical thinking, collaboration, knowledge application and analysis, because you will employ all your knowledge if you are working in supply chain management, you will get your knowledge to the maximum point of use. And of course, you will use the information technology. Yeah, application and computing skills. Because now it depends, like when we see later on, it's like a kind of planning through the computers by simulation. Like you will try to look for the shortest route and the shortest cost and the shortest time for reaching or for delivering the goods and services from the place of producing to the place of the consuming. So here we come to the end of this chapter, and actually I want you guys to I just want to watch a video with you now. We'll check out for this video, a small video within few minutes. I usually choose the one which is not very long. I guess this one is very good because it's on about 5 minutes. And it will give us an idea what the meaning of the supply chain management.
Have you ever wondered where your clothes are made? Where your Levi zipper came from, or where your iOS device was put together? They likely came from far away, and this is all due to efficient supply chains. First off, let's take an American Eagle shirt you might have gotten at your local mall. Where do you think it came from? China? It was actually likely made here in this factory in Vietnam, shipped through Singapore in a big container, and then trucked to your local mall. Next, have you ever wondered why all of your zippers say YKK on them? That's because it was likely manufactured by Yoshida Koyogo Kabushiki, headquartered in Japan, but your zipper was likely manufactured in this factory in the state of Georgia, USA, where their largest manufacturer is located. Are you still looking at your zipper? Lastly, your latest iOS device.
He wants to tell you that the goods are produced in one place and you consume it in a very far place. So this is the job, a major job for the supply chain management. That's what he wants to say here. I'm here in Canada. I'm wearing a shirt made in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is far about 13 hours by flight. Okay? So this is the main function of the supply chain management. That's what he wants to say.
Might have been assembled in this new factory of one of Apple's suppliers, located here just outside of Sao Paulo, Brazil.
So, what is supply chain? Supply chain is the process of getting a product from point A to point B. With how advanced technology has become, there are more ways than ever to transport your product. Our goal as supply chain managers is to get your product into your hands. Now, you might say, how do we do that? Well, it's easy. First, we negotiate with suppliers to purchase these raw materials. Second, we ship those materials as efficiently as possible through trucks, ship.
Keep watching, please focus here on the stages which he's talking about, because this will simplify for you in a very simple words. What do we mean by supply chain management? Okay, I want you to understand it, not just to memorize it without understanding. Please just understand what is the function of it. It's very easy. The flow of goods and services from the producer to the end final consumer.
And trains. And finally, we do everything we can to make sure your product gets to the store on time so you, as a consumer, can enjoy your product. Why is this so important to you? Well, without it, you wouldn't enjoy that car that you're able to drive, or even that phone that you enjoy using. Think about it. Everything you own is because of a company's supply chain. And without these supply chains, we would have nothing. So, how does supply chain compare to other areas of business? Accounting, well, it's the language of business with their income statements and balance sheets. Marketing, on the other hand, is the promotion of business, making sure our customers are aware of our product with customer surveys, sales, and things like advertisements. So, where does that leave supply chain? In supply chain management, we are the business. We source your product, we make your product, and we deliver your product so you, as a consumer, can enjoy your product.
So what careers are available in supply chain management? First, there are people who make deals and negotiate with suppliers to make sure you get things like raw materials to your business on time. You can strike deals, save your company lots of money, something that will make you very valuable in the marketplace. Also, you could work in quality control and assure that your company's product is the best on the market. This involves deep analysis and constantly evolving quality methods to make sure your product is consistently the best. You could be a process analyst and improve the processes in your factory. Responsible to make sure your products get out the door as efficiently as possible, like all these nice cars being pumped out of this factory. In logistics, a complex and exciting field, we focus on getting materials from one place to another. This field is growing quickly. For example, about 10% of the population of the state of Georgia works in the field of logistics. You could be a supply chain strategy analyst.
You can know from here what is the relationship between the supply chain and the logistics system. Is the logistics system a part of the supply chain? You guys, I want you to ask yourself this question, and we will share the answers on the live. When we work on the lecture live, we will share the answers. Which is the broader term, the supply chain or the logistic? Let's see and understand. And from the previous lecture, from the lecture now, and from the video, I want your conclusion, I want your brain to work and to give me an idea which one is broader than the other, which one is including the other inside it.
Consult your company on how they can save money by modifying their supply chain. Come up with great ideas. Supply chain managers save their companies an average of $250,000 every year. So what companies recruit from BYU? Aramark, Boeing, Walmart, Rodeo Shaw, C.H. Robinson, Walt Disney, Intermountain Healthcare, PepsiCo, Schneider National, Union Pacific, among many others.
So, why should you choose supply chain management at BYU? First, our program is ranked 14th by the Supply Chain Management Review. Second, we have world-class faculty. Third, you'll get real-world experience. And finally, BYU undergraduates earn an average starting salary of $52,000 per year. And that's why you need to choose supply chain management from Brigham Young University.
Well, like in this part, he's trying to say that it's a promising industry, like we said before. It's a very promising industry. Okay, at the end of this class, guys, at the end of this class, I want you, without looking at any the notes or without seeing videos or whatever, just write between you and yourself. I don't want it. I don't want you to upload it to me. Just you do it. What are the main points which we talk about today about chapter 1? What the meaning of the supply chain management? What the relationship between the logistics system and the supply chain management? Is it a booming industry or no? Does the plans stiff or rigid, or the plans must be flexible in supply chain management systems? Also, I want you to know that is it a system or no? Is it an open system or a closed system? How it is affected with the external environment or does not affected by the external environment? And how we can get use of the supply chain management, like what are the benefits? Like, will it reduce the costs, shorten the time of the flow of goods and services from the producer, to the end consumer, or no? I just want you to answer between you and yourself on these questions. And we will move to chapter 2 shortly. Thank you so much for listening to me. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you have any comments, please, you can send me on my email. You have my email in the syllabus. So whatever you need to tell me or to ask me or to propose or any comment or any feedback, I would be appreciated if I hear from you. Thank you guys and have a very wonderful day. And thank you so much. Take care all of yourself and stay safe. Bye bye.